The reason why men hate this new generation of women so much is because we're finally starting to realize how powerful.
Men are not intimidated by powerful women. They really aren't. I'll tell you what I see in this new generation of women. Very little self-respect. I'm 34 years old and I have never seen the level of hoery going on in this world.
I just had to pause for that. Hoery.
Wow.
I wonder if that's in the dictionary.
Maybe in the Urban Dictionary.
Hoery.
All right, sis.
Most of these women can't cook. They're foolish women. They don't know how to build their household. Instead, they destroy it with their own hands. We got women emasculating men left to right, saying it's a problem for them to be a man. But baby, I got a boy. And as parents to a boy, it's my job to be the example and set the standard for the woman that's gonna come into his life.
Just marinate on that. Wow. No, because it's just sometimes like when I hear women say stuff like, oh, men are intimidated or men are just afraid. It's a very rare situation that a man is going to be afraid of a woman, like afraid of physical harm. They might be afraid of them yelling or they don't want to have to deal with like arguments and stuff like that. But that's something different. And yes, I will say, I feel as though there are some cases where some guys may feel, I guess, intimidated.
Some dudes are intimidated.
Yeah, by your accolades and things that you were able to achieve and everything like that. I don't even know that I can say that that's most situations. I feel like nowadays you hear that because it's like an echo chamber, because there's so many. There's pee in the dating market pool. Wow. And everybody are using these phrases. They're just like, oh, men are just intimidated by me because I'm a boss, this, that, and the third. And it's just like, have you really sat to think about like why you think they're intimidated by you? Is it really just because of what you've achieved, or do you think that there could be something else going on, especially if you keep on having failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship? Like there's a common denominator in each of those relationships. It's just like, when do we get to the point where we start to take accountability of what it is that we may be doing and not realizing it? Because real talk, with men and women, we can get very prideful if we've achieved a lot in life. So if you bring that pridefulness into your relationship, it's not necessarily that the guy is intimidated by what you've been able to accomplish, but it's your pride that's taken up all the space in your relationship. And they're looking at you like, bruh, it's not even about like what you've been able to achieve. Like, that's great. Sometimes a lot of dudes might be like, yo, that's great. I'm glad that my woman was able to do this, that, and the third. But if you have this high and mighty attitude towards it, that's a lot of times what will tank the relationship. It's not necessarily the fact that you've accomplished so much. Not all the time. Like I said, there are some instances where that is the case, but sometimes you might need to check your attitude and see if that might be the reasoning as to why you're having these failed relationships.
It's my husband's job to raise him and teach him what a man really looks like. You see, my husband and I, we work together. I respect his role as male of the household, and he pours on to me all the love I need to keep this household going. See, baby, I'm powerful in my own unique way, and so is my husband.
And that's another thing, ladies. This whole power trip thing, like, oh, well, no, I gotta go get my bag and I gotta be a boss and this, that, and third, or what have you. And like, we hear a lot of men saying to the women nowadays, like, a lot of these women are too masculine because it's like they're out there and they're doing their thing, but they don't know how to bring it back or tone it down. Once they get in a relationship, they still come with that attitude. And what she just said there is key. Like, we are very powerful in our own right. Yes. Like, in our relationship, we have our own roles. And we've said this so many times on the channel, like, play your position. When you're on a team and when you're married, it is a team because it's two people basically out working together. There's a team. On a team, everybody has a position to play. Everybody can't play the same position. Everybody cannot be the leader, because if everybody is the leader, then it's a lot of other things that's not going to get done. We have to understand that we all have our own power and our own strength in the things that we offer. Like she said, being a woman and being a mother to her son, it's her responsibility to show her son basically what he should be looking for his partner, not his partner, but his spouse, his wife, basically, once he gets of age, he's going to want someone to emulate some of the same characteristics that his mom had. Same thing when it comes to a girl looking at her dad. Like, she's going to want to look for someone who emulates, hopefully in both cases, that the parents are doing things in a way where their kids would want to, but they're going to want someone who is modeling the same type of characteristics or behaviors that they saw their parent doing in their home. And a woman is going to be able to teach her daughter how to be a woman, and a man is going to be able to teach his son how to be a man. But you can't have that if the woman is trying to be the woman and the man of the house for the son, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It then becomes confusing because now the son is looking for someone who may be masculine and feminine. Well, hopefully you guys understood what I meant by all that. But I think it's important for us to understand that we all have our own unique positions to play, and we should not be envious of the other person's position, because every position comes with its own layer of responsibilities. So just play your position and then everybody will win.
Okay, so I would just like to give O a hand clap. Really? Because we finally have a video where she was dominating. You know how rare this is? Like, I usually dominate every single video. Y'all don't understand. I be trying so hard just to shut up and let her talk, because once I get started, bro, you ain't gonna have no space. Yep. So what she was saying, men are just intimidated by women because they figured out that women are powerful and all this other mess. All right, so there's a lot going on here. One of the things is it's been very well documented all over the world, but especially in the States and other first world countries, that women are becoming more liberal, men are becoming a lot more conservative. Mm-hmm. A lot of women think that men are doing it because they just want to exert control. But the reality is they're becoming more conservative because they saw that it worked, and they're seeing that what is happening now doesn't work. No man wants to be emasculated. No woman wants to be taken advantage of. And I think that we need to understand that right now, the options that people are leaning towards are those two. No man is going to want to be emasculated, so he's not going to lean into a worldview or a view of relationships that leaves him feeling emasculated. No woman wants to be taken advantage of, and so they're not leaning into anything that they perceive them as being taken advantage of. No type of ideology.
And if you guys made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, turn on your post notifications. That way you can let YouTube know that you appreciate what we're putting down.
What we're putting down. Right. Unfortunately, a lot of times for women, they're of the mindset that is what Christianity is as well. And I think that one of the issues that we have is that we don't really understand the history of Christianity or what happened. All right, so I'm gonna give y'all a very short, very condensed, simplified version. Before Christianity became one of the dominant religions of the world, when we talk about patriarchy, because a lot of people talk about patriarchy and they talk about like Christianity, women really were considered like 2/3 of a man. Children even less. They were often subject to the whims of the powerful men in any particular society. It was not against the law for a man of certain power and status to be able to have his way physically and in any other way he wanted with a woman or children.
That's disgusting.
The thing that changed radically when Christianity came into the place is Christianity said everybody has value. Everybody is equal in value in the eyes of God, but we have different roles. Mm-hmm. That was a huge difference from the way the world operated. So before we start trying to castigate like Christian values and stuff like that, we need to understand that before Christian values, women were not even considered in any way equal to a man. In any way. Value, usefulness in society, anything. They were just considered necessary because they bore the children, and that was it.
You gotta be kidding me.
Everything else was, well, I mean, you could clean the house, I guess. And that was the vibe they had. So a lot of the changes that have come in this world have come once Christianity took over. And once they took over, that of course led one thing into another, and then people started asking questions. And once they were allowed to read the Bible, because there was a time they wasn't even allowed to read it, and they started discovering, like, wait a minute, we actually are supposed to be equal in value biblically. What are we talking about? Men are still going back to those traditional values because they perceive the relationships that our grandparents and great grandparents to be better. And regardless of the freedom that everybody has attained, I think, considering how everybody talks about the dating market, it probably was better.
Yeah.
Maybe not your exact parents, but the whole independent woman movement and men being taken out of the home, that's something that started really in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And that's why we are in the situation that we're in now. That was a modern issue. And there were a lot of things. We did a video not too long ago that talked about a lot of the things, a lot of the reasons why that ended up happening. And we need to leave space for historical realities of why our homes are in the situations that they're in. And the stuff we talked about was only a part of it. It wasn't everything.
Right.
But women have always been powerful.
Yes.
And I think that the difference is women knew how to use their power to get what they want without destroying the family structure. Now we don't understand that. And unfortunately, we're worse off for it. Men are now becoming softer because a lot of them are being raised by women. They're not being raised by men, which is one big issue that a lot of men have, because men don't understand that they were tasked biblically with raising the children. I can attest from just in general what I've heard across the board and in our own house that there's a reason why men were told to raise the children, because there's an objectivity and a ability to stand back, look at the situation, analyze, and think this would be the best course of action to deal with this child. This would be the best course of action to deal with this child. You don't want to be in an emotional space. But you have to understand that there's a place that the emotions have to come in, and you have to know when to implement that and when to pull back on it. The man is supposed to be able to set all of that up. He's supposed to be able to organize that. And the woman is supposed to help him carry it through. And she's supposed to enlighten him to things that he may have missed, or just sort of clue him in on some of the nuance that he might not see. When they say co-parenting, we're using it all wrong. Co-parenting is marriage. In marriage, you're supposed to be co-parenting.
Yeah.
And each individual has unique strengths and gifts that they bring to the parenting structure.
Right.
That's why you're supposed to have two. So it's like so many of these things, like we're trying to separate and we're trying to stand in our pride, both men and women. And it's not going to help anybody. Nope. It's only going to continue to destroy the family structure. Yep. It's only going to continue to destroy relationships. Yep. And to me, it's just one of those things that has to run its course. Biblically, this is where it always was said that we was going to go. It was always said that people were going to become selfish. It was always said that people were going to become disrespectful. It was always said that, all of this was going to happen. So I'm not at all surprised that this is where things are going. Mm-hmm. And I only expect it, to be honest, to get worse before it gets better, if it ever gets better.
Lord help us.
But it'll be interesting because there'll be a lot of single women in their 50s and 60s, and it'll be interesting to see what our society is going to look like at that time. Because it's going to be a lot of single men, obviously, too, if there's a lot of single women. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of single people. I don't know how that society is going to look. It's going to be very interesting. Is everybody going to be trying to date around like they're still 30 years old when they're 50? Are they still going to be playing the same games? Because right now we are over intellectualizing everything, and we think we're a lot smarter than we actually are. And that's also predicted in the Bible, that we are going to be thinking that we're smarter than we are. So, I guess here we are. Yeah. So, one last thing, and I want to try to make this quick. The reason a lot of men are in positions to feel intimidated to some extent is because we live in a world where women have the backup of society and men don't. Mm-hmm. So we have to be very careful with our interactions with women. No matter how wild and crazy they get, we have to hold ourselves back.
That's true.
Because if we react the same way that they do, we are automatically guilty and they're automatically innocent. Mm-hmm. And because men understand that, they have to be a little bit intimidated, but it's not you, sis, that they're intimidated by. They're intimidated by the reaction and the consequence of society turning on them. And it's not just you, it's other men. Because having the police show up to your house and cart you off to jail, that's when things get real.
Right.
And they're scared of that, not you. Just that part of the intimidation thing. Like you said, there's other guys who's intimidated by your success and all that other stuff. But we have weak men, we have strong men, we have weak women, we have strong women.
This is true.
You know, so it is what it is. All right, guys, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit that subscribe button. I need you to hit the notification button. Almost forgot. I need you to hit the notification button. And then hit all the buttons.
Yes.
Thank you. I feel like I messed that all up. I felt like I said, I hit all the buttons. That's what I thought I said. It sounded crazy. All right, y'all, that was it. I told y'all. Once I get started, she ain't gonna have no space.
And he still dominated the video.
See, look. All right, peace.
Hey, everybody. Down in the description, there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peace.
Press the off button.